shit?
It is an unscheduled study break.
Happy New Year, motherfuckers. That's how you kick off a new year, the Star Wars way.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
Remember this time last year we were just starting out, cutting through the weeds of the Book of Boba Fett? Yeah, I'd rather forget too. Thankfully, this was the remedy I needed to quell the 12-month hangover I've been feeling since then, and not to mention the cesspool that was Kenobi. This placated the desires I had for more from such a beloved animation style that has provided some of the most engaging, fascinating, adventurous and thrilling content to come from a galaxy far, far away. The crew is back and doing what they do best. I had concerns going into the new season, however, that it would become too big for its britches and overconfident in its ability to please audiences. However, I'm pleased to say that it tempered expectations, whilst retaining the passion, energy and enthusiasm that made the first season so special to many. By providing audiences with a good 60% of the footage from both trailers and these opening episodes, with the occasional surprise thrown in that answered a few questions along the way.
Well, that's good to know.
Anyway, before I get too into how I felt about this debuting episode, let's give you a rundown. This one opens up on the beautiful, picturesque oceanic world that has been seen in multiple shots in the promotional footage, where we see Echo, Hunter and Wrecker retrieving cargo from a forest filled with crustaceans that proceed to chase them down a beachfront as they descend along the shore, and Hunter calls through requesting support from Omega and Tech. In between this, we catch up with them both with an aging Omega who is undertaking studies at Tech's behest, stating that she'll need to understand this for later in life, and good thing she does.
Good job.
After retrieving the crew, they jettison back to Ord Mantell, where we see the regulars, Bolo and Ketch, and AZ-3, who is now working in Sid's bar as a service droid.
I am a techno service droid.
That's one question answered at least. It's here where we're provided a name for the new ally associated with Sid in the trailer, Thee.
I am sick. I am sick of your shit.
She's only confirmed to be a pirate currently, with a mouth on her at least, as she mocks the group for their defective natures. However, my interests in her character lay as such. This has the possibility to link the Bad Batch to the exploits of maybe Hondo. Just a bit of fantasy booking on my part, but seriously, make it happen.
I smell profit.
Sid then informs them of why Thee was there. She wants to commission the Batchers to raid the former residence of Count Dooku on Sereno. Hunter, fearing that this will draw the ire of the Empire, who believes that they perished in the fall of Tipoca City, rejects this outright initially, feeling that the safety of the crew has to come first. Sometime later, however, Sid manages to convince the others, bringing Hunter in on the promise that if they manage to pull this off, and get even a small assortment of Dooku's fortune behind them, they'll never have to pull an odd job like this again. Hunter agrees, and as they depart from Sereno, Echo questions Hunter about the intention of what they'll do with what they collect, wishing to do more for others in the galaxy like they did for Omega. Once they arrive on world, the intended stealth mission turns into a fierce escapade that separates our groups into two teams. Hunter and Wrecker, who must traverse the ruins of Dooku's palace to escape, and Echo, Tech and Omega, who have become trapped inside a cargo container, and as the attentions of the Empire grow, they must maneuver through the maze of the ship to find a means of escape in their own right, where they get a neat little payoff to Omega's studies earlier in the episode, who suggests detaching the container and allowing the safety thrusters to carry them back to land. As they do this, we close out the episode on the fearful eyes of Omega as the container hasn't engaged its thrusters and is descending quickly to land. This was a fucking awesome return for the Bad Batch. The injection of light humour, heartwarming character moments, stellar voice work, the visual compositions and impressive scores made for a thrilling experience. The animation department continues to be the most consistent providers of content for Star Wars right now, and it's probably for the best that there's no heavy oversight when it comes to what they do. It allows the writers, animators, and directors to provide coherent, thoughtful pieces of content that never overstay their welcome, and always provide informative adventures within flexible time frames that come back around on themselves in the most rewarding ways, even seemingly unnecessary ones. The growth we witness in the first 20 minutes of this first episode is incredible. Echo's more confident in his resolve, Wrecker's become a little more palatable for those that were frustrated with his eccentric nature in the first season, Hunter's become more understanding in the choices that his team wants to make, and trusts them to make their own informed decisions, proven in the length that he's given to Omega to allow her to adapt and learn in every situation. Omega's connection to the crew feels more authentic than last season, and you can feel the time that's passed as they interact with each other more naturally. Then lastly, Tech, who feels less robotic in his mannerisms now, and it helped me become a little more invested in his character, as previously I enjoyed him, but he always fell on the wayside when the volume was up with the exploits of Wrecker and Hunter. The general plot for this episode is pretty run-of-the-mill for Star Wars. Steal some shit from here and get paid. Nothing overtly special in that regard, however the execution of it was what was enjoyable. The high stakes, high reward scenario really comes into play when looking at this one, but it didn't let up for the entire 20 minutes, and that's all I want. This hasn't set anything up narratively yet for the rest of the series, or anything that could be considered an overarching plot, but that's okay for now. I've always felt that this series will be more of an anthology show that doubles back on certain moments like the 3-stage fight between Crosshair and Hunter in the first season, but as long as the story progresses, I'm good with how they do it. Speaking of which, I realise a few people may become jaded by the fact that Crosshair's not involved in these 2 episodes, but give it time. I'd rather have an antagonist that's used sparingly and effectively than frequently and ineffectual. It's still bizarre to think that underneath the saturated tone of the series is a deep looming threat that will bring about some of the best written characters in Star Wars history eventually into the fight, and the question remains in my mind, will the Batchers become part of that? I still have a lot of questions going forward, which will hopefully be answered soon, but for now at least, I'm here for the ride, and excited to be reunited with one of the most beloved squads to come out of Star Wars right now. That'll do it for now though. I'll catch you in the next one. If you've seen enough, smash the like button, hit subscribe and gear up as I'll be covering the rest of the season, and don't forget to go back and check out my retrospective reviews covering Season 1 of The Bad Batch. Until then though everyone, take care and may the Force be with you.